Yo, so what's good, everybody? Today we're going to talk about a new movie that just came out a few weeks ago, and namely Obsession. Everybody knows about it, everybody's obsessed about it. Wordplay on obsessed. Shut up. I want to talk about a few points, a few things that stood out for me. I want to give a few impressions. I want to talk about a few things and get these things off my brain because I've been thinking about them for so fucking long since I watched the movie. I watched the movie like a week ago, and I want to put them out there. I want to put them all in a video, a movie, and get them out of my head. And I'm sorry for the chair squeaking. I'm going to buy a new chair hopefully soon. Yeah. Besides that, I think yeah, I think I said everything that I have to say in the intro. I don't really have a script. I have like some bullet points that I want to go through, and yeah, that's it. So, okay, let's start. Yeah, so the first point I want to make about the movie is I don't want to glaze it, but it's like one of the best movies I watched in a while. And it's not necessarily because everybody loves it, or like it's my personal experience that actually made it like so different from other movies. Like before this movie, the bar was super low because I went to Scary Hour 6 or whatever the heck that movie is called. Let me just Google it real quick. Scary Movie 6. I'm sorry. And it was trash, man. It was trash, garbage. It was extremely bad. I'm glad that that ended and I went to Obsession, but at the same time, Obsession was extremely annoying because it kind of made you obsessed about the movie. It kind of made me like think about it even after I went and like I went home, and it's like I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I like that out of a movie. I haven't had many movies do that to me since I was like a child and I first experienced movies, in a theater. And it's like really weird to experience that now after like I've watched so many movies and like not like I don't think I've had a movie do that to my brain since a lot of time ago. Like maybe I don't know. I don't know if I can name the last movie that did that to me. That being said, I want to make like some points of like why the movie is good for me. In my opinion, like first thing would be that it just doesn't spoon feed you the information. Sometimes it lets you draw some conclusions. For example, with Bear, like before the Wish took over Nikki's autonomy, it's really weird. Like I was rooting for the guy, but it was also making me cringe extremely hard. Like so, because like the movie manages to put you in Bear's shoes extremely well, and at the same time it makes you root for him in the beginning when nothing weird happened yet, but you kind of realize the guy is messed up, the guy has unresolved trauma, the guy is like from the beginning the guy is something's not right. He's super introverted, and I can relate to that, and partially that's the reason why I I managed to put myself in Bear's shoes even more, because like I was super introverted as a kid, and I still am, but somewhat. When I'm in front of a camera, I can just talk for hours, and that's different. When you talk to someone face to face, is completely different to when you talk to a camera, of course. Um, now, I wanted to say that so the movie doesn't spoon feed you information. For example, it lets you guess if Nikki actually liked him in the beginning, like if she was rooting for him to say that he likes her or not. Like on that car scene when Bear takes Nikki home exactly before he wishes for her to love him. Exactly before that, you can kind of see that interaction when she asks him whether he likes her or not, because now is the time to say something, it's like, you kind of pause for a second and you think, wait a minute, and that's left for interpretation. Of course, later in the movie, we get some information that, like, Nikki's been sleeping with this Ian guy that's Bear's friend, and it's love triangle, but it's more so love square because the other girl's also in love with Bear. Of course, it's like, it's weird. So we get some information from Sarah towards the end of the movie that Nikki was never liked him and always saw him as a friend, but you don't know, it does not confirmed by the person, that said it. It does not confirmed by Nikki herself. And so we don't know anything. We only know what these characters tell us. And we also know that they lie a lot. We also know that this guy Ian fucking lies through his teeth. He's not rooting for Bear in the end. Like, he's actually super jealous of them, and like he has traits of jealousness. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. This like whole fucking square, extremely weird. Also, the fact that it's written from Bear's perspective, which I think I've touched upon a bit before. I want to say that, that's exactly why we don't know actually if Nikki actually likes Bear before the wish or not. We don't know if she actually does or if she's actually into him, because he never asks the question. He never confesses his love. And because of that, we never get the answer in the movie, because the movie is kind of written from his perspective. Yeah. I want to talk about my personal experience watching the movie. Like, a lot of the things I've seen, like, it made me cringe so hard, especially in the beginning when Bear was so madly in love, like confessing his love to that waitress in the cafeteria, and then like the whole interaction between Nikki and Bear, like, that made me cringe exceptionally hard, because until then I was putting myself in his shoes. But like, if you kind of think like, what if it was you? Like, I know that's extremely selfish to say, and it's probably super self-centered to say, but like, it is like, that's where I got the disconnect from Bear, because like he was doing things that I consider extremely cringe even for like old me. I know I've said like 1,000 times already. Even for old me, I would have cringed extremely hard. I mean, I would have acted like that with a girl back then if I was doing it on purpose to be cringe, to like push her away or something. Like, I cannot physically understand how he can be so cringe. That, if that makes sense. Anyway, continuing, I still related. It's like how I still managed to relate. Even through that, I managed to relate to him, because I was super introverted too as a kid. And when I saw him want the girl, that's extroverted, that it like completes him in a way, in a sense, will fix all his problems, because when you have unresolved trauma, you think that someone else, if you just had that someone else, if you just have this person, everything's gonna be fine. Everything, your whole situation's gonna be fixed, which is like super bullshit. And it's like, you need to go through that whole phase of like call it, not breakup, heartbreak, in order to understand all of these things, that nobody's going to fix you. No relationship is going to fill that empty spot in you, and no relationship is going to fill that void. You need to do the work on yourself and manage to actually become self-sufficient in order to do these things and become the partner that, for example, Nikki deserves in this situation. And so I feel like in the beginning she was rooting for him. She was supportive but in a detached kind of way. And at the same time, you cannot really read if she actually liked her just from her actions, which is, exactly what the movie wants. Exactly. You cannot read from the actions. And then from what people tell you, you cannot believe them because you don't know. You don't know. This other girl, Sarah, you don't know if she's saying all these things now at the end just because she wants to be with Barry. She gets killed after the scene, but it's really, really sad. And it's really sad to see Bear's character development. In the beginning, don't get me wrong, he was actually obsessed with her and he created this image, distorted image of her, like she was this perfect, girl for him and like there's nobody else in this world. And this is exactly what got him to not even see Sarah as a potential match. It blinded him a lot because I think Sarah was way more of a fit for him. Now, to continue with the character development, towards the end, we see a really different Bear that is hot and cold. Now, he doesn't know what he wants because he got basically what he wanted, but he saw that it's not what he needed, There's really a big difference between what you want and what you need, and it's extremely well projected in this movie. It's extremely well put and shown how what you want is almost always not what you need. Okay, another point to continue from Bear to Nikki. Tragic, bro. Tragic. How she's portrayed and how that possession or theft of autonomy takes place and how these moments of awakeness happen. It's insane. I don't think I've seen, and I've seen Get Out, or what was the movie, Get Out? Yeah, I've seen Get Out. I've seen really psychologically scary movies, but I haven't remembered them. Like, I think I'll remember this one. I don't know. Let's wait 4 years and we'll see. But think the way the horror in it wasn't extremely like jump scare-ish. It was more so the sound, because the sound effects were so well put, and I got a jump scare from a sound effect just because I wasn't like mildly paying attention. I was trying to lift something that fell in the theater room on the floor. I got a jump scare moment exactly then, and I physically flinched, and like I was shook for like 3 or 4 seconds there. I couldn't believe it because like no horror movie that's been out for like in the past 3-4 years did that. The horror is extremely psychological. It's not necessarily like putting yourself in Nikki's shoes, like her autonomy is being stolen. She's just a passenger in her own body. It's insane. It's extremely sad. She didn't ask for it, and more importantly, she didn't do anything, to deserve it. And that's what's most tragic about this part, about her. To jump from that to, for example, Ian, I feel like this guy, I want to be a dickhead, but I think he's like the impersonation of a douchebag, like these high school fuck boys type shit. I don't care about women's feelings, fuck her and leave her type shit. I think that's what his character portrays. He plays that role extremely well, and it's like this so many low IQ moves that this guy does that is like extremely for him only. He only thinks about himself. It's extremely well put, that, and I think this is one of the characters that gets to annoy you the most. Also, the tragic story of Sarah and how she dies. I think like her death is kind of also a bit self-inflicted. Of course, she didn't ask for it either, and she didn't make a wish that killed her or anything like that. But she made the choice to go to Bear's place, or to ask Bear out in the middle of the night. She knows how Nikki is. She knows that Nikki has this pull on Bear, and that she'll do a lot of weird stuff for him, and she's extremely obsessed, this extremely clingy person, and you still ask this guy out in a manner that like know, it's extremely weird, uncalled for, and I feel like it had to happen in the movies exactly because of that love square happening, you know? Because if Ian and Sarah just hooked up afterwards, what the fuck, man? The movie would have been over half an hour freaking earlier. Like, they wouldn't have had to, like, Nikki wouldn't have had to kill Sarah, and it all would have been well, you know? Besides the fact that Bear probably would have still ended up killing himself. Whatever, alternate reality ending, whatever, bro. I'm just yapping right now. You know, jumping to the ending actually, with Bear killing himself and him actually like struggling to make Ian wish to revert his wish. That was a good try, I think, but at the same time, I think it was extremely late. And we can see that he realizes that even before that. He knows when he calls call center guy about the Willow wishes, when he calls that guy and the guy asks him, boom, on the spot, do you wish to revert your wish? And he says, oh, no, 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 no. You know, that's him wanting to not lose Nikki. He does not want to lose, and he still wants Nikki. Still, his he's still, you know, clinging on to that hope that he'll still get Nikki somehow. So psychological, and so many things happen that is like you can talk about it for hours and hours on end, and my brain just goes in so many places when I think about it. We're talking about the end. We can see he first tries to shoot himself, which of course he cannot because it's Bear. He's not that violent. And then when he tries to swallow some pills, he gets regret afterwards. And I feel like when he tries to vomit them back, he would have actually managed to do it actually, to vomit them and not die. If possessed Nikki or yeah, possessed Nikki wouldn't have wished for him to love him or be obsessed with him back, or with her, sorry, for him to love her back or something. I don't know what she wished. We don't know what she wished exactly for. But one thing that I really want to underline towards the end is that she also wished, she also made a wish. And we know you cannot cancel a wish unless you die or someone else reverts it. So if she wished for him to be obsessed with her and he dies, the wish is not over. Like he's still obsessed with her. I'm thinking like, what if this guy gets revived in a hospital and then the part 2 of the movie comes out or something like that, you know? It's not that I don't want it to end like that, because I think the ending was great. I think the ending was like a good choice. I said it from the beginning when he was talking with the guy on the phone, and the guy said only revert the wish if somebody else wishes for the reversal or if the person that wished the thing dies. So exactly what I'm saying, you know, there's two options, not the other person dying, the person that wished it has to die. So I'm thinking there's still an unresolved line flowing through the timeline. I really want to see the continuation of like Nikki being on the news for doing a mass murder, whatever. I want to see that, and I've heard that the next movie will be in the same timeline, so probably, you know, Nikki will be on the news, stuff like that. I want to see that part to be able to like pinpoint the fact that there's not going to be a part 2, you know, because I really feel like that ending was not really that close, or not as close as it wants to portray itself, you know. I don't know, maybe I'm just overthinking it. I think we're all overthinking it because everything else was left for interpretation. Why wouldn't the end be left? Everything can be left for interpretation at one point. So, yeah, I think this was it for me. It was an extremely good movie, memorable. Really, a lot of good scenes. I haven't even talked about the diner scene when they went on a date and Nikki started screaming, no, 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 no. I just sounded like a fucking F1 car. The thing you've seen on Instagram all over and over again. Yeah, that was a great scene. Let me name top 5 greatest scenes. For horror, the greatest scene was when she would just stood in the corner of the room in a dark spot and was just watching him with her face all distorted and like half of her face was viewable. Also, one, like, I think this was the greatest scene, the scene where she was standing in the door and you could see her eyes light up. Like, it was dark outside. She was coming to tell the bear, I think she was coming to tell him that, to apologize, basically. I think that was the premise of the scene, and her eyes were glooming. Oh my god, perfectly portrayed, like something else is controlling her. Perfect. And it didn't have to have any FX or special effects, or something like that to portray that. It's so good. It does so much with so little. And that's why it's so liked, basically, because it's simple, has a small budget, and it keeps things simple, but it tells such a great story and tells so many things, through the shot. Yeah, okay, so that's the best. And the second one was probably the one where she was standing in a corner, and the other ones when she was waking. So probably make a top 5 out of that. And of course, oh no, okay, I think top 3 was when she was sleeping in the bed and real Nikki woke up and she was talking to him. But she was talking to him like in her sleep somewhat. And I have some trauma about sleep talking, and that shit woke that shit up. So it's kind of crazy how many things it managed to include in such a small budget. But I think that's also to attribute to the producer's brain and the guys that wrote it and everybody that worked on it, and their brain, and the actors as well. They're so good. I didn't want to necessarily just glaze the movie because it was good, but because it was so good, it was also annoying as fuck. So that's maybe a downside, but a plus side. Some plus sides can become downsides if they're too good. Yeah, that's that's it. I don't know what else to say, bro. Like, I have to make this video, otherwise my brain is just gonna explode with ideas about it. Thank you.